It began quietly, almost too quietly for Hollywood. A once famous actress, her laughter now replaced by stillness, her home filled with photographs of a life that shimmered in black and white. The glamorous smile that had once lit up television screens now lingered only in memory. Lisa Gaye, the woman who had danced beside Elvis Presley, shared the screen with legends and captured the hearts of millions, lived her final years away from the glittering chaos of fame. But behind that silence was a life filled with passion, loss, and grace, the story of a woman who lived for beauty, for performance, and for love. Even when Hollywood turned its back, her story began in Denver, Colorado on March 6, 1935, born Lisa Gaye Griffin. She was destined for the spotlight almost from birth. Her family was filled with talent. Her sisters Deborah Paget and Tila Loring also became actresses. And her mother, Margaret Gibson, was a proud stage mother who believed deeply in her daughter's potential. When Lisa was just a child, the family moved to Los Angeles, a place where dreams were as common as palm trees, but only a few ever bloomed. From the moment she arrived, Lisa's beauty stood out. She was a striking child with dark eyes, luminous skin, and a poise beyond her years. But it wasn't just her looks that set her apart, it was her determination. She wanted to perform, to make audiences feel something as a teenager. Lisa trained as a dancer and actress, polishing her movements and voice with the kind of discipline that left no room for ordinary life. While other girls went to dances and proms, she went to rehearsals and auditions. Her early days were filled with rejection, but she never let it crush her spirit. She knew that in Hollywood, persistence was often the only real currency. And that persistence paid off. At just 17, she signed a contract with Universal Pictures, a golden opportunity that thrust her into a world of cameras, lights, and carefully curated glamour. Her early film roles were modest. But even in small parts, Lisa Gaye radiated a kind of effortless allure. She had that rare combination of innocence and sensuality that 1950s Hollywood adored. Soon her star began to rise. By the mid-1950s, she was appearing in films like Rock Around the Clock and Shake, Rattle and Rock, vibrant stories that captured the birth of rock and roll. She danced with fire, smiled with sincerity, and brought a playful energy to the screen that audiences adored. Her movements seemed to echo the rhythm of an entire generation, young, wild, and full of promise. But the film that truly immortalized her was Loving You, where she starred opposite Elvis Presley. For millions of fans, it was the ultimate dream, the elegant brunette who shared the stage with the king of rock and roll himself. Their on-screen chemistry was electric, and off-screen, Lisa carried herself with the same grace she exuded in front of the camera. Fame was intoxicating, but Lisa handled it with dignity, never allowing scandal to define her name. Away from the cameras, however, her life was not without heartbreak. She married Bentley C. Ware, a businessman far removed from the glitter of show business. For a time, it seemed she had found balance, a steady love, and a stable life. But fate, as it often does in Hollywood stories, had other plans. Her husband passed away young, leaving Lisa a widow with a daughter to raise on her own. The tragedy shook her deeply, and from that moment, something inside her changed. Though she continued acting, there was a quiet sorrow behind her eyes, a tenderness that audiences could sense but never quite named in the 1960s. Lisa turned her focus to television, becoming one of the most familiar faces in America's living rooms. She appeared in dozens of hit shows: Perry Mason, 77 Sunset Strip, Hawaiian Eye, and The Beverly Hillbillies, among many others. Whether playing a sultry guest star or a loyal friend, she had a way of making every role memorable. Her presence was magnetic. She could enter a scene and command it without saying a word. But behind that radiant smile, Lisa faced a growing sense of disillusionment. Hollywood was changing. The era of studio contracts was ending, and the new generation of stars played by different roles. For women who had built their careers on elegance and poise, the shifting tides were unforgiving. By the early 1970s, Lisa's appearances grew fewer. She stepped back from the limelight to focus on her family and personal life. For a while, she lived quietly, away from the cameras that had once adored her. But the people who had worked with her never forgot her kindness. She was known for her professionalism, her humor, and her gentle spirit. In an industry where egos often eclipsed hearts, Lisa remained humble, grounded, and gracious. Her later years were spent in reflection. She often attended events celebrating classic Hollywood, reconnecting with fans who still remembered her with love and admiration. But as age and illness crept in, she withdrew from public appearances. Those who saw her in her final years described her as soft-spoken, kind, and still stunning. Her beauty transformed from cinematic radiance to quiet grace. When she passed away in 2016 at the age of 81, the world barely paused. The headlines were few, but those who remembered her felt a deep ache, the loss of a woman who had embodied the golden warmth of mid-century Hollywood. Today, when you look back at photos of Lisa Gaye, the dazzling stills from her films, the candid moments of her laughing between takes, the luminous shots of her in elegant gowns, you can feel her spirit shimmering through. There's something eternal in her gaze, a mixture of confidence and mystery. She belonged to an era that valued beauty, but she gave that beauty substance. She wasn't just another Hollywood face, she was a performer who made every moment look effortless. Even when her life was anything but, Lisa Gaye's story reminds us that fame is fleeting, but grace endures. Her journey from a small-town girl to a silver-screen siren, through love, loss, and quiet strength, paints a portrait of a woman who lived fully and loved deeply. She may not have shouted her struggles to the world, but they lived in her eyes, in her performances, and in the silence of her later years. Like the final frame of a classic film, her legacy fades gently, leaving behind a glow that never truly disappears. If you were moved by Lisa Gaye's story, by her courage, her beauty, and her quiet resilience, take a moment to honor her memory. Like this video, share it with others who still cherish the golden age of Hollywood, and subscribe for more untold stories of stars whose lights still shine long after the curtain falls.